Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Excellency Esports. Tonight, we're bringing you a little bit more of Light League as we look in our first set to see Divine Ascension Obsidian take on Merciless. I am your play-by-play caster, Zephyr, and I'd like everyone to welcome for the very first time Hawk as my color caster.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having me here, casting for the Light League. Divine Ascension on the blue side, Merciless on the red side. It's going to be a great matchup. So happy to be here with my man, Zephyr.
Absolutely. It's great to have you. Thank you for coming in, filling in tonight. I know Bubby's somewhere in the stands crying as he does his best, but you know what? We love him, and he'll be coming back around when she comes. But I will say we are on our way towards this draft here just to start kind of getting things on the general idea of where these teams are at right now. Divine Ascension Obsidian currently is in good standing in the league, sitting right around that fourth, just in a really hot mix-up between Redefy and Darkside as it stands right now. So lots of competition, but they're definitely a top contender to take some of those really, really good seeding positions. Merciless, though, this game is really huge for them because they are right on the cusp of being overtaken here, especially by guys like Degenerates Reform. So this set is a make or break moment for them because if they fail, they're that much closer to being knocked out of playoffs.
Yeah, both teams really looking to pick up a win here. Divine Ascension Obsidian wanting to hold on to the favorable spot they currently find themselves in. But as you said, Merciless, they are hot on their heels. With a win today, you're suddenly right back in the mix. You can contend for those playoffs down the stretch. So both these teams needing to pick up a win as we do see first ban coming through with the Camille for Divine Ascension Obsidian.
Which is a little bit surprising for me. Merciless isn't a team that really plays through their top side, I would say. They're more overall all-encompassing, and while they do look to get some of their carries off, I'm looking more towards French and Necrox, especially, or Amith. Amith was fantastic on some of those Cinder games we saw him in the previous weeks, but either way, the Camille, they want to allow Saturation, probably, who is now subbing in, moving from jungle to top lane to have an easier game this time around, so that's kind of why we're seeing that, probably.
Yeah, definitely. Camille's still at the top of the meta, I think, no matter which way you slice it. And even though Camille is definitely a more carry-oriented pick, it can play weak side and just become a split push presence later in the game. Team fights relatively well on dive comps. And speaking of dive, Divine Ascension fearing more dive with the Hecarim getting banned out. I think this is reasonable. I think Hecarim, one of the best junglers right now on the current patch, easy S tier, if not the best jungler on the current patch. He's so good, it can work in basically every team, makes any composition a dive comp, so getting rid of that one, very, very, very smart to get that away from French.
Oh, absolutely. And French does a great job with it every single time it's on his belt, so no surprise there. That Grog is going to be taken out of the Rift once again here. I'm surprised it is banned out because Coltonson isn't here, and that's usually a pretty, supreme pick for the guy, but Merciless, they just don't want to deal with anything overarching control that can really disrupt their team fight presence, which is where they usually find their strength in. Looking like we're having a little bit of trouble getting this ban off here. Let me see, look to confirm what that is. It should be a Viego ban. Hopefully, draft will fix itself in a little second. It does come through. There we go. All right. So, Viego, hopefully that one.
All right, yeah, draft a little bit frozen right there, but it's all right. Viego getting banned out seems pretty reasonable. Getting reactivated finally today in Excellency League and also leagues around the world. Some of those bugs finally starting to get fixed. As you know, a lot of people calling Viego the new Mordekaiser right now, but definitely still pretty strong. If that champion gets going, can absolutely take over a 1v9 a game. If it falls behind, it's pretty bad if I'm being honest, but you don't really want to give over that threat, especially for carry style junglers that like to take those kills and just bowl over the game. His neutral objective presence is really good, his clear speed's really good, and his dueling is phenomenal. One of the best junglers out there in that sense at the moment. So yeah,
I hate to cut you off.
Yeah, huge on the right hands.
But just to let everyone know who is currently watching, we are going to be moving over to a new draft. It looks like this one is not doing too hot, and we're going to be remaking it. So hopefully that will come through just as quick as this one. But just to kind of pull back, maybe start looking at these teams as a whole. They're going through some general bans towards top-sided and jungle, right? Trying to take away control from what looks to be French and Gold fan right now. And it looks because they really want to make sure that, one, French is in a greater position. I mean, this guy is the supreme carry for Merciless's team, and he really is that win, make, or break condition. That's what we'll be watching for, especially. So taking away hot picks from him, giving Saturation a little bit of leeway. They're definitely building up some tools for themselves to find their way to victory, but at the same time, they've left Omith completely open. I know he's going to be probably looking for that counter pick come second rotation, but Necrox and Dark Dragon can draft themselves some really great bot lanes into Lexar and Divine X, where as they go, they've been, banned out of the Seraphine already and a whole bunch of other great stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Seraphine, really the only bot lane ban getting taken out so far. Of course, we will have to see what Merciless decides to use their third ban on. It could be something on the bottom side. But yeah, I mean, French is definitely a huge carry for this Merciless squad, but you cannot look over the fact that Necrox and Dark Dragon, like you mentioned, Zephyr, have performed well. Omith in the mid lane going to have counterpick available to himself. So it seems like that Obsidian right now sort of looking to get a comfort bubble up there for Saturation in the top side, as we do actually see Udyr getting banned out. Interesting.
Red side, it's necessary.
Yeah, necessary, but not quite as good as it maybe was. Yeah, still clears extremely fast. Definitely makes sense to get rid of that one. Don't want Latin Trap picking that one up first. As we see our first pick, Sivir, come through.
Pretty standard, I would say, for Lexar. It's a little bit off meta right now, but with the resurgence of builds like the my apologies, lethality kind of Dust Plague build, which I'm curious to see if that's what he'll be running. But either way, with those kind of surging back in, they give Sivir a bit more of an off meta presence. I'm interested that that's kind of the first pick that Dow chooses to go with, but it's worked in the past. So something strong, and it's definitely something that can continue to work. Alistar going to be the immediate response here, though, for Merciless.
Yeah, I like Sivir right now. I think she's a very good AD carry. Definitely not top tier, and I would not have first picked it. It's not strictly relegated to that late game farming hyperscaling that Sivir sometimes has been. With her Call of the Hunt, yeah, with her Call of the Hunt, she can start fights really effectively, get especially dive compositions in there, very good at kiting. But picking it first opens you up to counter picks like the Alistar, of course. Headbutt breaks the spell shield, then the Pulverize comes through uncontested to knock that champion up, and then also can get abused by longer range carries. Pretty much at all stages of the game. I could see something like a Caitlyn, a Jhin. Of course, Caitlyn not really in the meta right now, but I think she's still pretty good and is very, very good against Sivir.
It depends, yeah.
Depends, of course. But with the Alistar lane, could be very threatening. But that is a lot of movement speed. We see the Karma coming through for probably Divine, but it could go into Void's hands as well.
Looking at that Karma could be flexed out here on the side. Interested to see. I think it's going to be pairing towards that bot lane, as we have seen Divine X pull it off in the past, but don't be surprised if Void may touch with that one there. Latin Trap, we don't get much of a real ring on this guy when it comes to the jungle, but Trundle, definitely something strong to work with, especially since the tanky front that Merciless has begun to build for themselves here. So I can see how that Subjugate may come into play. Looking for the AD carry pick, but instead they're going to be routing towards the mid, it seems, pulling the Zillion into the hands of Omith. And let me tell you, oh wait, that's not it. I knew it. I was about to say, if it's 80 carry, it's going to be Kai'Sa, because Necrox is a simp for that champion. It is a Kai'Sa. It's not a Zillion.
All right.
And that's
I'm happy it's not a Zillion. I'm happy it's not a Zillion too, because if that was a Zillion, that would be low damage into the likes of Karma Trundle. And I'm actually really excited about this Trundle pick. I've been interested in seeing it pop up a little bit recently. It's gotten a few buffs in recent patches, and against the Alistar Skarner first rotation from Merciless, it can get good subjugation targets and really get tanky. Stealer's resistances do a lot of damage. Neutral objective threat is huge. It synergizes well with the Karma and the Sivir to keep it alive and make it run really fast. So I'm actually very interested to see how this one does. I would assume it's going to go into Latin Trap's hands. Could be for Saturation, though. However, Blind Trundle in the top lane, probably not going to be it. Kai'Sa, definitely a great response, though. You need DPS if you are Merciless. So they get basically the highest DPS AD carry, and as you mentioned, comfort pick for Necrox, as we see solo lane bans coming through here in the second phase.
Absolutely. That guy, I think that's the only AD carry he knows how to play, and that at itself is a bit of a reach of a statement, because Necrox fails to know how to do a lot of things in life. But either way, there's still a lot of room here. Hefty bans towards that top side, as we still have yet to see that. And of course, Merciless are thinking the same thing, but they enable themselves. They give them a little bit more safety on this team, continuing to make up that front that is so dastardly, giving Shen over to Goldfan here, something, again, that we have seen in the past. I mean, this is a pretty dead ringer for what Merciless likes to play around. Ooh, look at that
Ooh.
response.
That is a Darius into the Shen. Spicy, spicy, spicy. We talked about running fast, and Darius wants to do that. Divine Ascension have locked themselves in a very interesting composition here with two big, beefy frontliners. Get in there, do a lot of damage, and stay alive with the Karma Shields running really fast. But the Shen pick for Merciless, I really like the pickup. With the ult coming through on the likes of the Skarner or the Kai'Sa, makes for an insanely strong dive.
Ooh.
But Cassiopeia in response, love this from both teams. Merciless need two high DPS carries. Kai'Sa and Cassio fit that bill perfectly to punch through this front line. They offer a lot of safety. Shen does very well into what is an extremely auto-attack focused composition here from Divine Ascension. Spirit's Refuge going to get a lot of value. And like I was mentioning, ult on the Skarner, ult on the Kai'Sa, that Stand United can deliver the Shen to the backline, get onto this Corki, get onto the Sivir, and cause a lot of problems. So both these compositions looking at front-to-back teamfight right here.
I will say, though, Merciless definitely has something a bit more top-heavy when it comes to, and I don't mean top as in the lane, I mean top as in the time period. They're going to be playing towards the later end of the game here for themselves. Kai'Sa definitely, as Bubby has argued many times, throw the... oh wow, I'm losing out here. Hail of Blades or onto them and get a good CC off in the bot lane, and suddenly that full ripping passive is just chunking through this bot lane. But with Karma and Sivir playing out down there, I think there's a lot of safety to be had. So I don't think we're going to be really seeing the true front and power of Kai'Sa, of course, until we get later into it, and that's to be expected. But at the same point, we're expecting that from Kai'Sa. I mean, my apologies, Cassiopeia just as well. So Merciless, a lot of surviving that they're going to be looking to do here in this early game, where honestly, Hawk, I really don't think this game is going to look great for them.
Yeah, it's really interesting because, like you mentioned, just a lot of surviving to be done, but Divine Ascension is happy to survive as well. They've got so much sustain in their team. Corki probably going to go towards the shield bow. I believe that is the widely accepted build at the moment. Trundle, so much sustain with that passive and with that, in-build healing that he has, any lifesteal that he builds. Karma with the Moonstone going to be keeping the team topped off. And Merciless, with the two-threat composition, I like it, but you don't really have the means to one-shot anyone. That Skarner is able to pull into your team. You don't have a whole lot of burst on your side. And Divine Ascension, very safe as well. Both teams really, really safe lanes. I do not expect to see a lot of early jungle action. Skarner has good ganks, but against the likes of Corki, Sivir, Karma, and Darius, who are you really going to attack? You don't have the damage to take down Darius. Corki can Valkyrie on out of there. Sivir, Karma, with the spell shield and the movement speed, should be fine. And I think with Merciless's composition, although, yes, they've dipped fairly heavily into late game scaling, they have a lot of great mid-game pick potential that I'm not really sure how well they're going to be able to take advantage of just looking at what they're up against.
Right. The flexibility here for Dow is miles ahead of what Merciless are looking to do. And that's the thing. Dow, like you said, they know what's going to be coming at them. They know where those Skarner picks or the Alistar engages or the Shen using the Stand United that you brought up so many times coming through for those engages, where they're going to land predominantly. And at the end of the day, they're not just a great team that can take a fight. They're also a team that can really peel out of it and play off the safety. Dow has shown time and time again that they really run the map as a whole. They don't have to just win it out on the Rift, lane to lane, team fight to team fight. It's those little pieces of control that they slowly accrue, whether it be even just simple things like getting the appropriate vision out here to dominate, of course, the sides of the Rift, and then pull toward the Dragon, the Baron, the Rifts, everything and anything. And it feels like a really slow bleed sometimes for what this team is capable. I honestly don't think Merciless will have enough of the tools on their rotation to respond to that or give themselves the proactive foot they need to find success over Dow into this game.
Yeah, and it's funny that you mentioned that, Zephyr, because when asked earlier today what Divine Ascension's tools for success were today, what they were looking to win, they said that whatever team is up against them on the other side of the Rift, it doesn't matter because it's always going to be team different. So when you mention that holistic slow bleed map approach, I mean, it really does play into that play style. And of course, it is just banter, but when you're able to back up that banter with the performance that we have seen from them, I mean, it does ring true in some ways. However, I do think the one thing that I could see going the way of Merciless in this game is the potential to dive the bottom side. Trundle, frankly, is not very good at counter ganking. He really struggled to get into those skirmishes. And Sivir, Karma, although they're very safe at not allowing people to get on top of them. If they're trapped under their turret, if Skarner and Alistar are able to corral them there, you can bring the house with the Unbreakable Will. Alistar can tank up turret for days. Skarner can drag them out of range. Stand United coming through. That is a very potent dive, should they be able to find it. So Merciless, I want to see them try to make that rotation, keep vision control over the bottom side of the map, and set up for that play once level 6s start coming through. Otherwise, I think, as we've mentioned so many times, Divine Ascension just going to scale up into the mid game and take team fights and win.
And then we can also look to, if we want to give Merciless some additional win conditions, French, of course, has shown time and time again that he knows how to play the map just as efficiently here as Dow, and he can make those rotations and find success on some of these picks, whether it be up on the top side or what I'm going to be really looking for, some hefty burst damage to take down Void and slowly maybe get Amit ahead, especially as Petrifying Gaze really comes online. So I think notably, if we don't actually find that Dow makes a move to shut down the potential here from Necrox or Amith, at that point, these champions are still a massive worry that you're going to have to respond to no matter what. If Dow wants to put themselves best foot forward, you take it to these lanes, whether it be with Latin Trap or great rotations from Void like we've seen in the past, and you make sure that they don't get the time to scale and be relevant in this game. And it's going to be a tough match for them, especially since you've got guys like French on the Skarner, something he loves to use, who are just as quick and are willing to make these lanes come alive with the appropriate tool set.
Yeah, for sure. And if I'm being honest, deathballing into a Cassiopeia, usually pretty ill-advised. That's when you see the 5-man Petrifying Gaze. Yeah, exactly. Miasma slowing him down, Petrifying Gaze to stun him up. So really want to see Amith. I think he's going to be the guy to watch in these later game team fights. I want to see if he's able to make it happen. He's going to need to position correctly. And if he's able to stop that death ball, he has the tools just to freeze them right in their tracks and win fights for his team. So eyes definitely going to be on him, but looking at both these teams, it is front-to-back team fighting. Divine Ascension a little bit more mid-game. Merciless looking to scale to late. Will be interesting to see who comes out on top in this one.
All right, definitely going to be looking towards those earlies to see who really gets their foot forward. But with all that being said here, Hawk, I want to just, before we take it away, what's your general kind of prediction or assumption of how you might feel this one will go? Put some bias in there. How you feeling for these teams tonight?
All right, I've got to be honest.
Where's the love?
I think Merciless has the potential to take over bot lane and win the game through that. If they're able to make those good rotations early on, I think they just win this game. They won't allow Divine Ascension to get that mid-game power spike, and they will get to late game sooner. So I'm looking at Merciless to take game number 1. Maybe a hot take, but let's see it.
I mean, it sounds pretty spicy, and I will have to relabel you now as Necrox's simp, and for the rest of the series, that will be the referred to name, because anyone who goes for him and tells me that he's going to be taking, oh, come on, Necrox? That guy? Absolutely not. Never. I've never seen him perform super well in the AD carry role. He needs some work, and that's why he's trying to get some dates over on the Heavy League right now. But either way, whatever your opinion may be, it's going to be left up to the members here on either side to show us what they've got. Merciless looking to find their way to playoffs. Dow looking to secure their lead. It's going to be the first game of the first set. We'll be right back as we go through a little bit of a spectator delay. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Excellency Esports. If you're just joining us, you're tuned in to the Light League. We've got the first game of our first set here between Divine, Ascension, Obsidian, and Merciless Esports. Both of these teams competing for a place into playoffs. Merciless looking a bit worse on that stance. I'm your play-by-play caster, Zephyr, joined by the lovely Hawk as my color.
Joined by Hawk. Yes, I am here. I am ready for this amazing matchup.
He swooped in, everybody.
Swooping in, yeah, here on the Rift. Merciless fighting to stay alive in the playoffs, needing to get themselves a win. Divine Ascension Obsidian fighting to retain a spot at the top of the standings, wanting to get up to that upper echelon of seeds. And we've got two really exciting team fight compositions lined up on deck for you. Both these teams just going for a standard 5-point start in this one. The lines have been set as we see trading in the river.
Yeah, coming out very aggressive to punish Dark Dragon, but he's going to find himself far worse. And this goes back a little bit to how I discussed how Kai'Sa, as much as we always like to discuss, is that early game presence, late game presence does have early game positioning as well, especially if you play around that passive. You just saw how strong getting off what was the Hail of Blades managed to work for them there. So imagine that, transition that towards bot lane, and maybe Necrox finds himself in a good position here, but we'll have to wait.
Yeah, I mean, Alistar's ability to quickly stack the plasma for Kai'Sa, get that proc off very fast with basically just a Void Seeker and an auto if the headbutt pulverize comes through means that these trades could be very potent. With that being said, Karma Sivir, extremely strong lane. They're going to have insane shove presence in this lane, or at least they should, as we do actually see Necrox pushing this one up. Could be perhaps wanting to call their jungler down here earlier, Lexar and Divine X. I'm letting this one go towards them, but I assume once Sivir hits that level 2, has the boomerang, has the ricochet online, they will start pushing this one out. But level 2 coming first, coming through first.
Great job.
The side here means that Merciless actually gets shoved.
Yeah, they do, and they're controlling it very efficiently. Very nice to see this, especially since I don't know if you guys know this in the audience, but hopefully Lexar, also known as Baby Claps in the past, fantastic carry for the side of Divine Ascension. If he gets ahead, he finds his way to absolutely route to success for this team. So Necrox trying to sustain this one out, push as much power pressure onto them as possible.
Top side.
Great. Yep, Trundle coming up towards the side there. They're just kind of footing it though. Nothing too crazy as it stands of yet.
Yeah, rotations coming through from both sides. Trundle just trying to poke his nose there in the jungler. Finds out French, but no camp's going to be stolen away. Nothing too much going to happen. And this actually will result in an advantage here for French, where Latin Trap spending a lot of time walking in towards that side after doing a 3-camp clear. So full 2 camps behind the Skarner now, which is to be expected. Skarner farming very fast the apprehend goes wide there on the top side. But yeah, Trundle just going to fall a little bit behind. Zephyr, we were talking about in draft, Latin Trap is the substitute jungler for the side of Divine Ascension, and while of course we expect very good things from him, he is still the substitute. Will be interesting to see how he performs, so eyes going to be on him and the top laner as well. Saturation, usually the jungler for the side of Divine Ascension, playing top lane, getting the Darius, a carry oriented pick, so want to see how these guys are able to perform as rotations coming. Seeing French, very good tracking, getting a ward down in his jungle. He's not really able to do anything, but they might be looking as Divine X and Lex are just going to walk away.
A little bit too far forward there for anyone to make any action really come to fruition for them, but like you said, great information on the field for them. I don't know if that negates really a lot of the power play from French here, especially since he still does have that advantage. But look at Dark Dragon going for the headbutt pulverize. Beautiful spell shield to prevent that one from coming through from Necrox. And as a result, Dark Dragon's actually going to be pressured out here for a better trade, in my opinion.
Yeah, good trade indeed, but they want this pressure. French really committing a lot of time down to this side, but yeah, that was a really great spell shield from Lexar. Denies the plasma proc. That's what I was talking about. Alistar applies 3 stacks entirely on his own. If that Void Seeker hits, that's a huge chunk of damage down onto Lexar. Correctly choosing to spell shield the Void Seeker, knowing that the CC is going to come through from the Alistar anyway, and avoids a massive amount of that damage. Still, he is being zoned off this way, but with his stacking towards his turret, should be able to pick up a good amount of this as it reaches his turret. Skarner, not too bothered, spending a lot of time trying to get down to this bottom side, and even though he has been on vision, mostly just wants to farm up to level 6.
Wow.
Still got a camp lead over Latin Trap.
Latin still pressuring on the other side of the jungle here, making his entrance towards the Raptors just as he meets right up with French. Still consistently trying to find some kind of counter here, but let me tell you, French is no, soft cookie. He's in fact a tough one, as I would almost kind of refer to. Maybe like a crumpet or like a scone. Yeah. Scones, they're tough, especially if they're stale like the ones I eat. But either way, French, he's just as fast. He does not go for those backs unless he knows there's complete value in making it happen. So punishes out Latin Trap again for making something aggressive there.
Yeah, definitely bold choices here by Latin Trap. I mean, yes, you want to try to deny the Skarner, but if Skarner finds you out and he is on a Spire, he is no slouch of the 1v1. I mean, of course, Trundle with the Ice Field, with the Chomps, can do a lot, of course, but French gonna be able to CC. Amith can potentially rotate over. That is suddenly a lot of DPS on your back on 2 single targets, so that's a pretty strong mid-jungle 2v2 if French is standing on that Spire, so definitely needing to be careful. Trying to find these Raptors. He does get a ward down, but he has gotten no camps for his troubles. French maintaining the 2 camp advantage he has over his opposite number, and currently that is translating into a Dragon lead with the XP and gold advantage that they have, getting the favorable reset.
Well, Void and Divine X have rotated appropriately. Curious if they're going to look for some sort of steal. French does have Smite, of course. He's going to be taking a chunk of damage for it, but now Latin Trap, knowing he's in the bot side, going towards top to Gold Fan. That's the full stack passive, and the flash coming through from Fan there.
Trade back the flash onto Gold Fan. Very, very good Dragon play there from French. Takes advantage of the reset. Knows that Latin Trap has nothing really to farm. Latin Trap trying to trade back onto the top side, but this is a Shen. So difficult to gank. Does blow the flash, so that means there is potential for a repeat. Saturation gonna be able to take a plate away, but actually needs to be careful. Gold Fan could try to get involved with the taunt. Should be able to walk out, however. So advantage largely going over here to the side of Merciless. They can get that dragon stacking early, but gold is going the way of Divine Ascension so far. Have a couple hundred gold lead, mostly due to that farm and plate lead on the top side.
Yeah. Saturation taking heavy advantage of this matchup, making sure that Gold Fan knows his place, and that's no surprise there. The Shen does not do too well into that, so giving up as much as he can in the face of this massive Noxie in general. Either way, I don't know how that will really stack up though for Dow, because Saturation, he might be the jungler, but we'll have to wait and see how those rotations really come to fruition and make sure, maybe it plays around the jungler or whatnot. And Dark Dragon, far forward there. He's going to be going in for that headbutt pulverize, but once again, spell shield to negate. Gets the stun off of the W proc passive, but a good exhaust on the Necrox there prevents any future damage. Stand United back onto Dark Dragon there, but no taunt because Saturation clears it. Make sure he doesn't get anything out of that one. More boomerangs coming through, and Dark Dragon's forced to back off.
A little bit unfortunate there for the side of Merciless. Shen ult being used defensively right there, but you almost wonder if Merciless could have just called that play sooner when Dark Dragon was still in the middle of the entire team. If Shen had just ulted in, sacrificed the farm on the top side, that was almost certainly a double kill. Lexar, no spell shield, no flash available. That would have been a kill, but instead they keep Dark Dragon alive. Yes, but he was likely already out of that one, and instead that is a 3-minute cooldown. Your biggest go button crashing. We talked about
X. Oh, it's the Comet! The Comet got the end of the kill there!
Oh, Dark Dragon sticking around too long. You just don't need to sit on your tower. Let your AD carry farm that out. You're not going to get dove by a Karma Sivir. There is no threat there. Instead, gives over a kill. Fortunately, it is a solo first blood for the Karma, so it is not a complete disaster for the side of Merciless, but not one you want to be giving over, and we see the potential repeat gank here. Gold Fan under pressure, trying to keep the wave out front of his turret, but they could see a dive. French,
but French
right on the bottom side.
Towards the bot side, he's going to be rooted before he can really get on top of Lexar there. As said, he's going to be throwing out that ghost, but they're already under turret. He throws the Impale to get Divine X, but the flash comes through to save the day.
All right, flashes being blown off these bot laners. So no flashes down here means that French could finally try to make the play happen. We've just been seeing small misplays from the side of Merciless, not quite capitalizing on the opportunities that have been presented to themselves on the side of the map so far. However, zoning the bot lane off this golden XP will be huge. TP coming through to actually break this play up. Corky's here with package.
That's going to be Darius coming up. Saturation gets on to the knock, but French now in a poor position as he routes back around. He's going to be trying to shoot his way forward out, but he's slowed by the Q. Saturation, and oh, Divine X actually one that picks that one up, but that damage of burst there.
Really nice play there by Divine Ascension. They recognize that their bot lane is in danger. You've mentioned in draft at the beginning of this game, Lexar is such a big carry for this team. You want this guy to get the golden XP that he can, and he was getting zoned off of 2, maybe 3 waves crashing under his turret there. So they call the TP from the Darius. Corky picks up the package as they roam down. They get a kill onto the jungler there. Unfortunately, again, goes over to the support, but still really nice rotation there from the side of Divine Ascension, leveraging the fact that Shen does not have Stand United available. French, no ult, no ghost, cannot get out of that one. Kill goes over, and that is now a 2,000 gold lead. Divine Ascension really starting to just open up the game through incremental advantages of Merciless. With the advantages that they've been presented, not really able to claw it back.
Absolutely not. And like I said, as stated in draft, it's not really the 1-to-1-to-1 matchup, technically 2 in the bot lane, but I can't count. Either way, they don't have to really find success directly. Divine Ascension's super good at taking every little spot that plays into their favor, and we see it now on the top side, and now spread its wealth towards bot lane. At this point, it's continually... It's a little bit, right? It's only 2,000, but it only gets worse here, and we need to see continued activeness from French, but maybe the bot lane just isn't the right move for him at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've seen, as you mentioned, so much attention thrown to the bot side, and although it will convert probably to their second dragon of the game, which could get towards a soul stacking win condition, gold is completely even down here. The CS is actually in favor by 3 for Lexar. All of the zoning, all the pressure that's gone here has not given them any gold at all. Meanwhile, on the top side, Saturation has been able to free push, get a CS lead for himself, teleport down using that advantage, and get a kill for his team. So it's about leveraging what you have, and Divine Ascension simply doing it better so far.
Absolutely, and once again we can see Saturation just pummel the man himself, Gold fan.
There's
he's
3 up
always
here.
Really pressured back. Void, like you said, with Latin Trap making their approach to the top side. Gold fan sniffs it out. He's gonna be running straight into the subjugate from Latin Trap here as he slows him back the pillar, and he uses a great dash to make sure he's out of that one. But
yeah, well played by Gold
as a result.
Well played by Goldfan. Susses out the dive, saves the Shadow Dash to get over the pillar, does not allow himself to be interrupted, but it wasn't about the kills effort. It was about getting first turret, pre-plates falling. That makes Saturation a very rich man, sitting at 5,000 gold, most in the game currently. So this Darius coming online, and he is so scary with the Sivir ultimate, with the Karma shields. We mentioned it so many times that this composition just wants to death ball at you, and we mentioned mid-game team fighting. Darius is one of the best champions at that. If he can get online, get that hemorrhage stacking, he can absolutely take over. So this Darius win condition so far looking very, very scary for the side of Divine Ascension.
And to kind of spread a little bit of the gold around, start looking at that one, you've got what is the Turbo Chem tank now available for French. Maybe we'll start seeing something a bit quicker play into his ganks, of course. And of course, the most important thing, Amith has got the Leandri's Anguish fully completed up here. We're talking about that burst necessary to delete guys like Void and even Saturation if you've got the play on that CC appropriately. That is now where I look to here for the side of Merciless. They haven't found much success bot, and they're continuing to scale up there. I'd love to see Amith find something.
Yeah, for sure. Amith definitely doing well for himself, has the highest farm on his team, getting that Leandri's. Leandri's going to be very impactful this game against the high HP targets that Divine Ascension has brought. This Darius, this Trundle, you need to burn them down slowly, and we've mentioned how difficult it will be for Divine Ascension potentially to deathball through this guy. So fortunately for Merciless, their main team fighting win condition is still scaling up nicely, but it will be interesting to see how he's able to do now that some of this pressure starts transitioning towards the bottom side of the map and potentially towards the mid lane as well. Very safe in this lane, as we've mentioned, but still could be under threat. Void getting chunked out, though, in a fight for control ward.
Amith, once again, this guy shows time through and through that he has the skill on some of those micro plays to make himself relevant here across the board in Light League. From what it be the Cassiopeia to the Syndras we saw in some of these previous weeks, This guy knows how to play again and again, and he is a sustainable win condition for Merciless here. So watching him throw out the miasma, just give Void a little bit of taste of what's to come. I love seeing that. And of course, French being on the side here is a good one as well. Coming through, doesn't get the slow, but he finds the impale. Amith now in a great position to just rip through here. Void comes through with the flash, but it's not going to be enough as Amith cleans it up.
Greedy, greedy, greedy. Void wanted to hang on to the flash. Didn't think French would follow him under turret, but he gets dragged all the way back down the mid lane. And with the miasma going down, he's not able to get away as Gold Fan actually getting messed up by saturation.
There's the double flash, and the Noxian Guillotine comes through as one more axe is going to set him through. But a big teleport rotation from French and Amith. Amith flashing over the wall, taking this very directly. A great petrifying gaze to slow this man down. Grounded from miasma. And there's French. Amith, beautiful on the rotations off that one.
Well, Saturation got to flex his muscles in the top lane, gets himself a kill, but we mentioned Amith going to be the carry, and he is now fed. He's got the 2 kills. They get the Corki, and then he teleports and picks up the Darius as well. Not what you want if you are a Divine Ascension. And although the gold lead stays stagnant at about 2,000, it has not closed yet. Getting your mid laner ahead like this could be what you need, as we see teleport to the bottom side, likely to try to set up early for this dragon, but with Stand United available, actually a little bit suspect there. I assume they wanted to get the recall there off for Necrox and Dark Dragon to buy their items before Dragon respawns, but interesting use of the cooldown regardless. It is Divine Ascension that has first access to this objective, and Amith critically not going to have Flash or Petrifying Gaze available for this fight. Honestly, if I'm Merciless, I don't feel like I need to fight for this. Item spikes have come through for the side of Divine Ascension. Mythics on everybody as French.
Poor guy caught out immediately there. We're going to see a Stand United, but it's not going to be lasting long enough. Now Saturation stepping forward, chunking out Amith pretty aggressively on that one. And like you said here, no need at this point for Merciless to contest this at any given point. They're going to actually be turning their attention towards mid, playing off some of that pressure, but Saturation dashing forward, double pull. Dark Dragon pulls him back, but it's not enough. Amith going down immediately off the guillotine and now rooted out. Dark Dragon, he's not even going to survive with the might. Oh my God, Saturation.
Breaking the stride of Merciless right there. Gets a double apprehend onto the carries and takes them down. Flash off of Necrox and 2 kills going over Merciless. You just simply didn't have the spikes online. You can give up the dragon. That's why you got the first 2. You're scaling for later game, but French face checks without the rest of his team, gets taken down, and then I respect the attempt for Merciless. They recognize that the dragon is no longer theirs. They try to trade back for something, but they don't respect the potential for this Darius to collapse on them and get kills for his team. This is going to break the game wide open now for Divine Ascension. They take down the mid lane turret. They take down the dragon. They get 3 kills for themselves. I believe all of them going over to this Darius. So this guy coming online so fast, and this 2,000 gold lead has now ballooned to 4,000 as we crest the 18-minute mark. That is definitely where you want to be with the mid-game team. They can now start picking their fights. They can start taking it to Merciless.
Absolutely, and I'm really surprised from the presence of Saturation the Third here coming into Divine Ascension's game. He's made a rotation towards the top side, usually plays jungle out, but this guy just still enhances the wealth of his team across the board, from what is a teleport toward the bot lane towards great grouping off of some of these dragons, and we're seeing the wealth of that success earlier from his advantage over Goldfan really come out. Now French, seeing Divine is so far forward, gets the impale off, pulls this man back, a good exhaust to prevent Necrox from getting a full pass attack, and there's that teleport from Saturation, easily chunking through. We're gonna get that massive pulverize from Dark Dragon, but it's not enough. Lexar finds the response there as well. Now Amith here in the bot lane steps forward, straight under turret into Void. He shields up, and as a result, he's gonna go down, but the pull, oh my gosh, ticks him out.
All right, 1v1 in the bot side, but in the mid lane, they make an attempt on the Divine, get the flash out, but the double TP comes through, and they simply didn't have the focus. Necrox getting exhausted. They didn't have the damage to take him down, so it ends up being a kill onto Dark Dragon instead. They use that pressure to take the Herald. Divine Ascension looking so good, and you talked about saturation, switching roles. Looks like he hasn't missed a beat, and I think it's worth mentioning too that the faith his team had in him to give him the Darius, I mean, that is, they could have just put him on Ornn and called it a day, but no, they gave him a carry-oriented pick. They trusted their teammate, and he has shown up. So massive praise to Saturation. He is playing so well so far. This game has been a catalyst for his team and is currently their biggest win condition here in the mid game. 4,500 gold in the lead, Herald in hand. Divine Ascension looking so strong. They even gave the Herald to the Darius to enhance that split push.
I think it's an absolutely appropriate idea to work with. Saturation's already putting pedal to the metal. Why not go faster? And that's going to be shown here as well. Well, maybe not. Latin's, oh, he does manage to get the pillar off onto Golfan there. There's going to get the bite down to get the slow off, but Fan's already out of this. And Saturation and Latin, they just want to push their lead here.
Yeah, and I think what makes this game so scary, oh, Divine, that was dirty to take the Raptor, but what makes this game so scary for Merciless is we haven't really even seen the death ball from Divine yet. It's been a lot of just individual picks, catching out individual members of Merciless to find their lead. But what happens when Merciless is forced to face check into darkness to fight for a neutral objective? That is when this full display of the Karma, Sivir, Darius composition just running at you becomes so horrifying. So I'm very interested to see if they're able to pull this one off and how it goes, when I should say it happens, because there's going to be team fights coming. Cloud Drake spawning in a minute. I would like to see Merciless give it up again, but knowing these teams, I don't know if they will.
We'll have to leave it up there. Saturation, Divine, they're already pressuring it out, getting the vision in the favor here of Dow. French and Dark doing their best to clear it out, but I don't think it's going to matter. Divine is so stubborn. That's 3 wards in a row, and that's going to be that 4th one as well. They want to make sure that clearing is completely lit up. I will say, Amith is still in great position. He might not be awesome as what is Saturation is, but one great Petrifying Gaze to shut down some of these lighter carries. Definitely could see that working out for him here, but beautiful movement from Dow, making sure to throw that rift mid, and now Amith, bad position, Miasma caught out, forced to flash over the wall. I think the Dragon's secured here, Hawk.
Yeah, definitely secure Dragon. Really like that move from Dow. Summon the Herald mid, using the wave pressure just to force a response from Merciless, not allowing them face check in. Then Amith with the bad positioning, force flash over the wall. Will buy the Dragon. Don't get caught at the mid lane again. They're going to walk away and be fine, but that will just be a Dragon. And maybe more. Satch
is trying. He finds Necrox there. A good killer instinct to get his way out of it. Dark Dragon going to step back, pummel him through. Look at that impale, though, on Void there. Big flash over the wall to make sure he gets out clean. No kills found as of yet, but my gosh, Dow tried.
That was a scary fight. Great initial disengage from Merciless. Dark Dragon buying a lot of space for their team, and then they get the pull onto Void, but Amith using the Miasma to zone the rest of Divine Ascension out instead of on the Corki, so he's able to get a great flash over the wall, and Void keeps his life. They get the mid lane tier 2 turret with nobody going down. 5,000 gold lead now. It is slowly growing, and we see an attempted death brush. This is bold from Divine Ascension. They're hoping somebody walks by, but there are 4 members in the area and Stand United available. They will just channel recalls. Yeah, just going to channel recalls. I would assume Baron going to be on the menu. You've got a nearly 2-item Corki and Sivir. Trundle also no Slasher doing this one. You can set up around it and again force Merciless to face check, get that death ball going. We'll be interested to see what they decide to do with their time, because of course they do have the mid-game team, but their late-game scaling shouldn't be terribly understated. They get outscaled on paper, but with the lead that they have, they are in no hurry to end the game. They still team fight very well. So it will be interesting to see if they just decide to slow down the game, play the split push, and get more farm onto their carries.
I will say, Hawk, one thing I did notice with that last fight that really kind of gave me some hope here for Merciless is that death ball, while it is scary and it does come at you extremely fast, if it is whiffed in any kind of format, that window is no longer available for Dow. And it's one of the few engaged potentials that they actually have to make something happen. Merciless has just as good or better peel at times as Dow here to play around, right? So if that window does not come to full effect, you know, you're looking at a complete whiff. And just like we saw back there, French went in instantly, came through, chem tank, bam, impale, pulling Void back. Had not been the miasma used earlier, that would have been a dead Corki, right? So interpret that window how you will, play around it, and maybe Merciless finds success.
Yeah, and interesting to note that nobody has paid the Skarner tax. Zephyr, that Corki is flashless and without a QSS. Next time he gets impaled, he is going to go down. I would like to see if Merciless is actually able to find that window, but pings on the bottom side, not going to amount to much. However, it is worth mentioning, yes, the disengage for Merciless is great. I mean, when the death ball is good if you're forced to face check and you don't know where it's going to come from, but in that mid lane fight, Merciless knew what was coming, when it was coming, and how to stop it, and then French exploits the mispositioning from Void and forces not necessarily a favorable play, but gets a slight advantage for his team on the backside of that fight. So would be interesting to see, you know, how is
Dark Dragon
able to play around Vision. Dark Dragon gonna need to ult.
Holding on to the root there. He's definitely waiting. He uses that flash. That might not be the best opportunity. Definitely could have ulted that one out. Maybe would have been caught out just as well. But Unbreakable Will does so much for the alley to make sure he does not go down. So bit of a shame on that one. But hey, Baron is up and they are footing around it. So I can see the usage there.
Yeah, interesting to blow the flash, not the Unbreakable Will. I mean, that's just such a big cooldown from one of your main engaged threats if you are Merciless. Of course, you do still have the Ghosting Skarner, so it's not like they're out of engage, but Alistar flash pulverize from the flank, you know. There's nothing quite like it. So, a shame to see that one go. Probably would have been fine if he just ulted the Karma root. Regardless, expensive cooldown, keeps his life. Baron still on the map. They don't lose anything too major, and it does seem like that Divine Ascension has chosen to play the slower game. They are just going to play for that Cloud Soul, and I think that's something that we need to talk about, Zephyr. We have a Cloud Soul with two very fast teams.
Double Cloud Drake's already in their hands, by the way.
Yeah, so if someone picks this up, that movement speed will be so scary.
Divine X, by the way, already very far out here, making sure the vision's in the favor of Dow. You're going to see a huge clear on the side here from what is Merciless, and I really hope they don't invest too much on the side here, because you know, you play the vision out super aggressively on this Drake, and suddenly you're missing out on the Baron instead. French here, a little too far forward, going to be pulled back there. Exhausted immediately. You have that Stand United, but he's taken out. Live Void. Now Lexar, very far forward. Latin Trap as well. Good dash over the wall there from Void. As Dark Dragon looking worse for wear. Tries to headbutt back, but Necrox, even on the follow through, going good to go down as well. Three members here. Amith, Goldfan, the only two left alive. Never mind. Missile Barrage makes the hit when it is needed. All four members except for Amith taken out, and that's going to be that free Baron.
There it is, Zephyr. That is the death ball. The carries of Merciless simply did not have the damage to break through all of the sustain on Divine Ascension's side, and they run them down, picking up 4 kills for themselves. They're going to pick up the Baron. They say, to hell with the Dragon. Actually, Saturation just going to solo that one out on the side. They want both of the objectives. Saturation actually could be in trouble. It will be Baron, however, going over. Big advantage for Divine Ascension regardless. Dragon traded back, but that is a meager prize for the gold now in the back pockets of Divine. 8,000 gold in the lead.
Nowhere close. And Amith here, there's French. She's going to be coming in to make sure that they secure this one out. And this sustains them a little bit longer. And like you said, meager is definitely the word I would use in terms of, but at least they pull something in response there. And if we look back at that last team fight, complete fruition, the statement that death ball fully coming out in its entire force there. Constant re-engage, engage, whatever you want to call it. Merciless just had to play the back foot the entire time. It did not even look like they could team fight it out. There was no response.
Yeah, it just simply wasn't any options. They couldn't kite it out. They were missing one of their major frontliners. They couldn't find that pick potential. Like I mentioned, Void had that flash down, no QSS, doesn't get punished. And although there is still no QSS with the flash back up, he might be able to escape if they're not able to burst him down. And with a great package into the back, Amith and Necrox got split apart, forced to kite, and when you're kiting, you are not DPSing. They just didn't have the damage to get through it. The front line
when you're running.
Yeah, exactly. You can't turn around and auto attack or cast those spells. And with one of your major frontliners gone, the frontline for Divine Ascension is always going to be stronger, of course, because of the number advantage. So, yeah, Divine Ascension, great team fight, and French could be caught out again.
French. That immediate stun at least gets him out of that one, but bad positioning time and time again here from French. Caught out at the beginning of that dragon fight, now over on the side here. A little bit needs to change from his regard if we want to see this team sustain it out any further.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just been a lot of opportunism, I think is the word from French so far this game. I'm not sure how much comfort he has on this Garner. I've not been particularly impressed with the pick from him so far. It's just been interesting, some of the decisions he has made. I don't think it's been a bad performance by any means, but I think French just needs to slow down the game a little bit, look for the windows for his team, and communicate them effectively. And with the turret going down, he's in danger of getting killed.
Yeah, forward once again, and he's instantly almost taken out there. Stand United once again out of the rift on that side. Necrox here now taken low. Lexar steps up for the easy double, turns his attention to Dark Dragon. He's going to be rooted under. That's the triple for Lexar. Like you're saying, this looks to be the game here. Amith still available. Gold fans still up here. They can make as much of a play as they want, but Amith, he's on such a late back off that one. Big taunt from Gold fan, but honestly here, Hawk, there's nothing that the Shen can find that would stop this rampage. Amith's up. He's going to be doing his best with all 5 members pressuring this one out. Dow take an incredibly impressive game 1.
Incredibly impressive indeed. They simply understood their win condition better than the opposition and took advantages of the opportunities that they were given. They found an inch and they made it a mile. It wasn't anything that was necessarily gifted to them or fell into their lap. They found their own advantages, and that was what was so impressive to me, is the way they just took what they created and made it something bigger and turning it into a pretty impressive and very clean win, 16-3 on the kill score.
I would agree. I will also state that, in fact, huge success in their favor, but also 16-3, very low kill count game, and I honestly didn't expect it to be a big one. And it pulls back to what I said earlier regarding how Dow, like you also say, is they accrue those little victories over time, and it just stacks up. So very impressive from them. Yes, Merciless were in the face of many mistakes throughout their game, but it was not a terrible showing from them, I would say. I definitely think that they were pushed into a corner in most of these major team fights, and as a result, they definitely couldn't find success.
Yeah, I really just think it came down to execution in the pivotal moments. If you look at the score of this game and the time, it looks like Dow destroyed Merciless, but I want to stress that that really was not the case. Merciless had a few opportunities that if they just executed on them a little better, or even saw them in the first place, they could have gotten to just tremendous advantages and stopped the snowball that Divine Ascension was finding, but they were never able to really find a meaningful advantage. It simply was not in the cards for them, and in the slower paced game, Divine Ascension knew how to play it better. They knew their macro was cleaner. They rotated around the map well as a team. They showed up for objectives first, and they found the good team fights.
All right. With all that being said, though, and with the Faith still on the board here for Merciless, and especially it's actually in more of a better situation than you could ever imagine here. The teams that they are competing against more directly, Degenerates Reform, who have the same exact standings as them, have also lost their first game, notably to Shadow Blade Slash, the lowest team in the entirety of Light League, making a resurgence here. So as it stands currently, Merciless still are in great position. If they find a victory coming into the second game of set 1 here, their leeway is still definitely on their belt. So a lot to expect, but we're going to be taking it to a short break as we get everything organized towards this second draft here. Stick around.